Welcome to the Michelle Mission, Two Men, One Podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Hey, what's up? This is Len, aka the Bat Tribble.
And as we continue our march, surely and steadily towards 300, tonight's stop is with a real jewel, with a real treasure from black pop culture, black art, the American letters. That would be 1959's Porgy and Bess, directed by Otto Preminger. I should probably put quotes around directed, but that speaks to one of the many contextual elements around this film. Starring Sidney Poitier, Dorothy Dandridge, Sammy Davis Jr., with appearances by Diane Carroll, Brock Peters, and Pearl Bailey. Based on Porgy and Bess, the opera by Du Bois Haywood, and featuring the music of George and Ira Gershwin. This was the choice of Lynn Webb, and we have a whole lot to talk about.
Oh, boy.
With Porgy and Bess. But before we get to Porgy and Bess, what's going on, Len? How are you?
I am doing good, my friend. How are you doing?
I am also well. What's going on? What's going on over there?
Well, nothing much, but I want to give a shout out to each and every one of you out there who are enjoying us as we are streaming via StreamYard to our Facebook group, as well as onto YouTube and on Twitch as well. And to all of you out there in the chat, hello.
Good evening, one and all.
Yes, one and all of you. And I saw that, speaking of wishing everybody a nice salutations, I also saw that one Robert Monroe Jr. was quick to give us a hearty happy First Contact Day.
Happy First Contact Day. Happy First Contact Day. Would you like to explain that, Lynn?
Well, actually, I'm in the middle of pulling something up real quick. So why don't you explain to the listeners exactly what First Contact Day refers to?
First Contact Day is a Star Trek reference. This is the day in the Star Trek mythos where the Vulcans made contact with humans. Human beings utilize a warp drive for the first time, caught the attention of Vulcans, and this was the beginning of what ended up being the Federation.
Right.
So for Star Trek fans, today is a significant day because this is the beginning.
Right. And if I remember correctly, it's the date, not that it happened this
It's the
year.
date, not the year, because I believe the year is 2068,
something
maybe?
like that. Yeah.
2068.
Like it's not like 21 something. It's
right.
20,
Right.
Yeah.
Which that may be the next big science fiction date that we're going towards. You know, it always bugs me out. We've passed so many of those big science fiction dates. We've passed the date that Michael J. Fox traveled to in the future in Back to the Future.
Yes.
Obviously, we've passed 1999. Obviously, we've passed 2001. We've passed Judgment Day.
We passed 1984.
We passed 1984. I think I mentioned this a couple of years ago on the show. We've passed the year that Soylent Green is based in.
Yes, you did mention that. Yes.
We've passed all of the Blade Runner years.
Really?
Yeah, because we passed the years that the replicants were born. And we passed the date that the movie was set in. I think the movie's set in 2020.
Get out of here. I fell asleep on that part.
Yeah, so we've passed everything.
Oh.
So not Judgment Day. First Contact Day may be our last date left.
Maybe the last date left.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Sharon Eldridge is saying, isn't Soylent Green 2022?
Yeah. Oh, right. So, right. This year's 2020. Right. This year's Soylent Green Day.
Right.
The Soylent Green year, rather.
And it's very fitting that we heard from Sharon Eldridge,
Okay.
who I learned
Okay.
is a Derville Martin fan.
Hey.
If you look there, ladies and gentlemen, that is a picture of Sharon Eldridge rocking her Derville Martin swag.
All right. Go on, Sharon. 6 degrees of Sharon Eldridge.
Exactly. So thank you very much,
Thank
Sharon.
you.
We appreciate that. Appreciate the the patronage.
It's a great shirt.
I think it's a nice shirt myself.
I'm going to keep saying that. I love the design.
Well, I wish you loved this so much that you would take a picture of.
Yeah. Well, I haven't put it on yet. I'm waiting for it to get warm.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
like that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. You just don't know. For those who follow us on our Facebook group, you'll see that Vincent and I just this past weekend we were very, very proud to take part in the Study Hall improv show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big
here
fun.
in Philadelphia as part of Philly Theater Week. Study Hall is an event where lecturers go down and give a 5 to 7 minute lecture on their specialty.
Mm-hmm.
And then this improv group will go in and then create a skit from that lecture.
Yeah, it's a great concept.
It's a very cool concept.
Yeah.
And Vincent and I were very proud to be asked to come down and talk about the Michaud mission and talk about Black movies for 5 to 7 minutes. And then the crew of Study Hall proceeded to really rip us a new one in their improv.
Yes, it
did. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
And if you're on our Facebook group, you'll see that there are photos of us at the event posted to the Facebook group as well as on Instagram, I believe. And trust me, these pictures only came about because someone else had the camera and I was able to pin Vincent down.
Right.
So that he would take the photo. But it was a lot of fun. We had a good time.
It's nice. We are finally moving back to
live events.
I know it's only April. It's barely April, but wouldn't it be nice if we could do something for Halloween for the first time in 3 years?
Well, Vincent, speaking of that, our old haunt before our what once was annual Halloween show, Amalgam Comics and Coffee House has reopened for live in-person patronage.
Well,
and they're having special events there again.
Let's say it live on the mic. Let's cross our fingers. Maybe, God willing, the creek don't rise. 2022, we can go back to a Halloween movie showing.
I would absolutely love that.
Yeah.
See, but now I hate you, Vincent, because you do this all the time. Because now you've got me distracted because now I'm just wondering, all right, what movie are we going to watch?
Right. Well, we can get to that. We figure out a movie.
I want to figure it out now. I'll advertise that bad boy now. But anyway, yeah, so we're looking for that. Sharon Eldridge was wearing it proud in Baltimore.
Oh, my hometown. Very nice.
Yeah, so we appreciate that. A great deal. No, we did not wear Derville Martin swag for the improv show. Farrell Blackwell. We did not. Vincent, I got a treat for you.
Okay.
As promised, we have voicemail.
Boy, you field of dreams this. You built it and they came.
We have voicemails, Vince. Now we've got 3. These are the first 3 voicemails that we received. We'll have more as we build up till episode 300.
These are the inaugural voicemails.
A matter of fact, take a listen.
Hi, this is Aaron Fry calling just to say hello, and hopefully I'm the first one to make this voicemail to your new Michaud voicemail system. So thanks for everything you guys do. Have a good day. Bye.
You, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
You hear his voice.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go. And he was the very first voicemail.
And now, if you read something from him, I'll hear his voice.
See. I think that's cool, right?
See? All right.
See.
All right. Who's next?
Now you want to hear who's next.
Now I want to hear. Right.
Now look at you.
Right.
Y'all a tingle. Clowning me for 3 months.
Well, as we all know, a redheaded woman makes a choo-choo jump its tracks. So
I smell a t-shirt. Anyway.
Hey. I ain't trying to get sued by the Gershwins.
Point.
Yeah, because apparently they don't play with Porgy and Bess.
No, they do not. Next voicemail.
What's up, missionaries? This beats a long email, huh? All right, I got a couple of points for y'all. Y'all did a couple of Tupac movies. I've always felt like Killmonger in Black Panther was channeling Bishop. Thoughts? Is this just me, the Oakland dude, singing Oakland stuff everywhere? Number 2, Abbott Elementary. How Philly is it? I love this show. But, yeah, you guys are there, and I'm like, what's up with that? Number 3, Len, you're wrong about Ghost Dog. And number 4, Vincent, can you get from Durville Martin to Shirley Temple in 6 boobs? Keep up the show, folks. Keep up the mission. I'll look forward to seeing y'all on the live stream. What's up, missionaries?
Maurice Popular right there.
Well, we'll start at the end. We did Shirley Temple.
We did do Shirley Temple. That is very true. And Maurice, I'm not wrong about Ghost Dog.
The rest of us are.
Let's hit rewind, because I had a fair amount of missionaries that were on my side about Ghost Dog.
Have you watched Abbott Elementary?
I still have not watched Abbott Elementary.
It's really good.
Okay, here's what's keeping me from watching Abbott Elementary. No, because I did start to watch it for like a couple of minutes.
Okay.
But then I realized that it was done in one of those like The Office, like fake documentary.
Right. The mockumentary style.
And I'm tired of that style. So the second I saw that, I was like, I checked out. And I,
you know what? A, that is fair. B, I think it's easing out of it a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the only reason I'm hesitating is because I like it so much that I don't know if maybe I just don't notice it anymore. I will say that, and I hate to just call him Everybody Hates Chris, but he's always going to be Everybody Hates Chris to me. The little brother.
Oh, who was Chris?
Right.
On there.
Right.
Okay.
What's his name? So I stopped calling him like he's a grown ass man.
He is very much
and he's a good little actor.
Yeah, he's more than a good little actor.
Yeah. He's a grown man.
Tyler James Williams.
Tyler James Williams does still do a bit of the Jim look at the camera.
Okay.
But as far as the cutaways, it's not as heavy as it was in the first couple of episodes.
Okay.
And it's a really good little show. And the cast is
you keep saying it's a good little show, which makes me think that it's cute.
Well, you know why? And it is appropriate enough because you said you want to talk about it. We're in the midst of this real television show renaissance. Like what
there's a lot of good stuff on TV.
Or just the level of it. You know, Atlanta. Better Call Saul is about to come back. I'm not ready to make a public statement about Severance, but Severance is trying to do something really deep and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Abbott Elementary is an old school sitcom.
Old school now.
Old school now. Like, I don't think she's trying to recreate the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's trying to do anything quote unquote cutting edge.
Right.
It's just a really solid, like appropriately enough, it does remind me of The Office or Parks and Rec. Like, these are just good, solid workplace television. Like, everything don't have to be Atlanta.
Right.
And it's really good. As far as how Philly it is, I don't know how Philly is. I know they name check Danny Walk though.
And you didn't know about Danny Walk.
Well,
so I told you about Danny Walk.
I didn't want to say that. I went to Danny Walk after I saw the episode of Abbott Elementary. It's all right. It wasn't bad.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You know, it wasn't bad.
I didn't say it's remaking a wheel.
No. I hear you, but yeah. It's so they went.
That's Philly.
That's a pretty deep cut.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah,
Philly.
Danny Walk is a pretty deep cut.
Yeah, so I ain't mad at them for that.
Yeah. What was the third thing? Oh yeah, channeling Bishop in Killmonger.
And I take it he's referring to Bishop of X-Men.
No, Bishop from
I don't know.
From Juice.
Oh, really?
I mean, there is a bit of brokenness to Killmonger too, that you get with Bishop.
I guess,
like that kind of lashing out because they're broken.
Yeah, I guess the difference to me is that with Killmonger, at least as far as we know, he definitely was broken. He was definitely lashing out, but he was on his own and trying to find his own way.
Well, I think you got the sense Bishop was too.
Yeah, see,
remember,
but the difference,
his father or grandfather, but he was like catatonic.
Yeah, but the difference with Bishop, at least as we're seeing, Bishop very much did have a brotherhood that he could lean on, and that was there,
right, to
be leaned on,
right.
If
right,
you know,
right.
they offered it to him,
right,
continuously,
right.
You know, and he just went left of there.
Yeah.
So I mean, like there, and to me, that's a big difference.
Okay.
You know, Killmonger seemingly was very much a loner, wanted to be alone.
Right.
Now, if you want to argue that Bishop, as portrayed by Tupac in Juice, is maybe the origin story of Killmonger, and then he's alone after that.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
But, you know.
Right.
But it's not a bad pull.
Right. Well, again, I think both of them are examples of hurt people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Movies and Merlot. Hello. Says that yes, Severance is that series. And Abbott Elementary is so funny.
There you go.
Well, Movies and Merlot agrees with you.
Movies and Merlot agrees. Like I said, I'm not ready to talk about Severance, but
I got to get back into it. I watched it and I enjoyed it. It's like I've told you, it's one of those shows that I can't be working while I'm watching.
I will say this about Severance. This is the first show. I don't know the last time I did that stuff where I was waiting for it to drop. Like it drops at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Like way too much information. Like I take Camille to school early on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it drops at midnight Friday. So I get to my job early. I sit in the parking lot and watch half of Severance before I go in.
Just kids looking out your classroom window. What's he doing? Just sitting in the car.
Just sitting in the car. Staring at his iPad really intensely. Like really intense. Like he's about to break the screen. He needs to stop gripping it so hard. All right, that's enough. I just gave Apple 2 free ads. That's enough of that.
Vincent, you did.
All right, what's the third?
Meanwhile, while you're intensely watching Severance, you know what I binged this past weekend?
What? Perfect Strangers.
What's it?
From 1983, ABC.
No, it wasn't Perfect Strangers. I don't want
Wings from 1987, NBC.
No.
Okay.
I watched Watch Out for the Big Girls, Lizzo's new series that is on Amazon.
All right.
And she is looking for
dancers, right? She's looking for new dancers,
plus size dancers for her tour.
Okay.
I binged the entire season.
Okay. This smells like you were watching it with somebody else and this wasn't your idea.
Circle gets the square. I do have to say though, I found my way. I was interested.
All right,
it's cool.
Oh hey,
it's whatever. It was fun.
All right,
it was short.
Will there be a season 2? Did they set up a season 2?
There's no cliffhanger.
There's no cliffhanger.
So I don't know if there'll be a season 2.
All right.
But it was cute. It's cute enough. All right. We have a final voicemail.
The final voicemail.
The final voicemail.
All right. Who we got?
Hello, my name is Sabria. I'm calling because I'm a fellow missionary, also known as Bree517. The reason for my call today was just to let you know how much I love you all and how much I really enjoy the podcast. Although I will say it was really difficult to find your phone number to call in to tell you about this on the phone. I know you've been advertising it, but unfortunately it's not pinned to either your Instagram or your Facebook or your website or your YouTube, and so I actually had to watch the show again in order for me to get the phone number. So just a little FYI, just in case you want to make sure that everyone has access to this phone number, it would probably be a good idea to pin it. Anyway, just to let you know that I did find your show through another friend of your show, actor Omar Dorsey, famous for his acting on Queen Sugar. So he actually was also a really good fan favorite of the show, the podcast that I used to watch, that I used to listen to. It was called Denzel Washington is the Greatest Actor of All Time, period, with W. Kamau Bell as well as Kevin Avery. And so I'm a fellow Denzelite as well, who was turned on to your show because Omar Dorsey tweeted this tweet of that I will always remember, saying that the episode that you reviewed of Driving Miss Daisy was the funniest episode that he's ever listened to in his entire life. And I have to agree because I listened to it and I cracked up laughing. It was the best ever. So also just want to let you know that I recommend that you please review some horror movies coming up. I understand that, you have a month for horror, and so we don't always do horror movies all the time, but I would really recommend a horror movie called His House that is now currently playing, I believe, on Netflix. I'm not sure if it was ever released in theaters, so I don't know if it meets your criteria, but if you could look that up, that would be great. It was so good. It's not a slasher film, so you don't have to worry about that, because I know, Vince is not into the slasher flicks, but it is a really great horror movie. Like, it's haunting, it's good, it's visual. It really deals with important topics as far as when it comes to refugees and fleeing their war-torn countries and what's currently going on now. It's really prescient in the moment. So just like to give that as a recommendation. I love you both. I love the show. I've been a fan since almost day one, since that episode of Driving Miss Daisy, definitely. So thank you. Keep up the good work. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you, Sabria. What a nice email. Len, will you pin the number?
I have put the number on our Facebook page. I will be putting it into our Instagram.
The poor woman looking
Twitter.
everywhere.
I know.
She looked on the YouTube, on the Instagram, on the Facebook,
I know. Well,
on our MySpace.
It's a scavenger hunt.
I know.
But she
6
found
degrees
it.
of finding the voicemail number.
She won.
Yeah.
What do we have? We have played our voicemail.
Yes.
No, Sabria, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. We are huge fans of Omar Dorsey.
Absolutely.
And we hope to have him and Dorian back on the show. And actually, I plan to try and reach out to W. Kamau Bell. He's a very busy man.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we definitely are hoping to reach out reach out and connect with Kevin Avery to bring him on to the show.
Yeah,
because I too was a fan of the Denzel Washington podcast, and would love to have him. And I love comedians, so I'd love to just have him on the show and bust it up with us. So
right. Definitely shout out to Omar and Dorian.
Oh, most
I
definitely.
feel like we've been just missing them.
We have, and that's exactly what it has been.
Just miss them, so
just keep missing them, guys.
Keep doing good work, fellas.
So, Deborah Battle used to listen to the Denzel pod as well, and Blue Girl 718 is a fellow Denzelite. So we got a whole lot of Denzelits over here.
There you go. A lot of overlap.
And that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very good. We also, it looks like we maybe have someone new on Facebook, Wendy LaFosse, or LaFosse. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Wants to know when will we start talking about the movie? Well, we're getting there.
We're strolling there.
We are making our way to talking about Porgy and Bess, but we will be talking about Porgy and Bess very soon. Wendy, thank you, and thank you for taking the time to listen to, and join us tonight. That's our voicemails. We do have a couple of emails, Vincent, as well. All right. So we've been hearing from our listeners. We heard from Raymond Cummings.
Hey, Raymond.
Hey guys, I commented on the show's Facebook wall at the time, but it seems like emailing or calling is the best way to stand out, so to speak. So here I am. Would you guys consider dedicating an episode or 3 to Atlanta at some point? Season 3 started recently, and it's a show that the two of you would get a lot out of. Keep doing what you do. You're brightening my week every week. Best, Ray. Just to answer that question, I don't know that we would dedicate an episode to talking about Atlanta, or specifically any other TV show, and that's primarily because the Star Trek fans in our orbit would kill us.
Yes.
After promising to do multiple shows about Star Trek that we haven't been able to get to, but we could
probably do a binge lounge at some point.
We're overdue for a binge lounge.
The binge lounge list. Talk about Atlanta. Yeah,
and that might be fun to do, like, because this is the third season.
This is the third season. They've either filmed or are in the midst of finishing up filming the 4th season, which will be the last season,
final season.
Yeah.
So it might be fun to talk about it after the 3rd season, kind of like put the show in some type of context, going into wherever the 4th season takes us. So we can certainly do that for you, Ray. And it is a show that both of us very much enjoy. We actually were talking about it.
Before
we turned on the cameras.
I think Donald Glover is actually creating great art with Atlanta.
He is.
So
he is indeed. All right, Wendy, I know you're waiting for us to get to Porgy and Bess, and we are going to get there. I promise you. However, we do have one last bit of business that we have to take care of. Before we get there, and that is we have to play 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
That's right.
Yes. It is 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
For those who are asking for theme music, we threw in some theme music there.
There you go.
We threw in some theme music right there for 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, where Vincent, you will get to. Well, what are you going to do? How's this game go? Oh, so which we're going to do? I forgot because we have to explain it to Wendy.
There you go.
There's always Wendy is the first time.
Every episode is potentially someone's first episode.
Exactly. So this is where we use the 70s character actor D'Urville Martin, and Vincent, uses him as a linchpin to get from 6 movies or less to another actor. And I have an actor for you, Vincent.
Right. Len chooses the actor.
Yes. In 6 movies or less, get from Derval Martin to Steve Carell.
Oh, okay.
The star of
Netflix's
Space Force.
Space Force. Oh, yeah. Okay. Steve Carell.
Mm-hmm.
Derval Martin is in how do I want to do this? Okay, real quick. Derval Martin is in 5 on the Black Hand Side.
Yes.
With Dick Anthony Williams. Dick Anthony Williams is in Mo Better Blues with Denzel Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Denzel Washington is in Philadelphia with Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hanks is in The Green Mile with Michael Clark Duncan. Michael Clark Duncan is in Anchorman with Will Ferrell. No, Michael Clark Duncan is in Talladega Nights with Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell is, of course, in Anchorman with Steve Carell.
Oh, that was good. Was that 5? That might have been 6. You might have got there right in 6.
I mean, I could probably get to him quicker. I was just taking a stroll.
Was Michael Clark Duncan in Talladega Nights?
Oh my! Did you not see Talladega Nights?
No.
Oh, Lynn.
Excuse me. It looks stupid.
Oh.
I mean, I'm not saying it is, but it looked.
I can't even look at you right now. Yes, he plays the pit crew. He's the pit crew boss in Talladega. Have you not seen Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby?
Very easily. I kept it moving. I didn't see it.
I just don't understand.
I don't understand you.
You watched all the Thin Man movies again.
Yes. That's William Powell and Myrna Loy. You're comparing Will Ferrell and Michael Clark Duncan to William Powell and Myrna Loy? I say thee, sir, never.
Talladega Nights is so funny.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, it looked.
Yes, Michael Clark Duncan is in Talladega Nights.
It looked like typical Will Ferrell. I mean, fare. So, and I've seen Anchorman. I've seen Anchorman 2. I've seen.
I mean, Anchorman is his do the right thing. Like Anchorman really is the zenith of the Will Ferrell, Adam McKay movies.
Yeah, I saw. What's the basketball one? I forget. There was a basketball one. I saw that.
Oh yeah, if you saw that, yeah, you should have watched Talladega Nights.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that. I'm like,
my daughter just texted me too because
she said
there's a part where Michael Clark, because it's Michael Clark Duncan and Ricky Bobby says something where he basically says he wants something to happen to him, and Michael Clark Duncan yells out, "Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby!"
And that's what your daughter just texted.
That's what she just texted me. Because it's fantastic.
Movies and Merlot says we know that Len has different taste. Wait a minute. I have good taste.
I didn't say you didn't have good taste, but you really should.
Semi-Pro is the name of the
Semi-Pro, which is one of the weaker entries.
Yeah, it was weak
into the Will Ferrell, Adam McKay filmography.
Yeah, I didn't see that until Talladega Nights. I'm sorry.
You really do have, you know what? If pressed, I would say you have to watch Anchorman.
Anchorman is great.
And you saw Anchorman.
I loved Anchorman.
You have to watch Talladega Nights. But those are really the only two you have to watch. And then there are the lesser entries. Like I'm a Step Brothers fan.
I like Step Brothers. I saw Step Brothers.
Oh, it's better than Step Brothers. And it's definitely better than Semi-Pro. And it's definitely better than Anchorman too.
Well, there's a lot of things that are better than Semi-Pro.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I guess it was because it was right in the wheelhouse. It was like right in that time when he was doing like Semi-Pro. Then he did the racing, and then he did the skating.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah,
I was getting tired of Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
So like I didn't. So and Old School. I saw Old School.
Old School is also very good, but I think Talladega Nights is better than Old School. And I love Old School.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
We got another one.
I got another one for you.
You threw me off with that you hadn't seen. I just assumed everyone has seen Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
Why? It's not that. I'm certain it's not that great of a movie. It's not like one of the 10 greatest. When did that come out? 20 something, right?
I mean, I think it's one of the best comedies of the
21st century.
Absolutely.
Like top 10.
You know what? Without thinking about it, I'm going to say top 5.
Okay. All right. Well,
I think top 5. Like I said, I think Anchorman is better than that. But comedies 21st century. I'm trying to think what has come out since 2000 that's better than Talladega Nights.
Well,
which that's a whole right. We're not going to get distracted,
but you're not going to be distracted.
Definitely top 10, arguably top 5.
Okay.
All right. You got somebody else?
I got somebody else for you.
All right. Who you got?
In 6 movies or less.
6 movies or less.
You're from D'Urville Martin.
D'Urville Martin 2.
Frances McDormand.
Frances McDormand. Okay. Frances McDormand. Frances McDormand, I'm going to go to her. Through.
Now, are you seeing the right actress?
No. I absolutely know who Frances McDormand is.
You know how you get sometimes.
I'm trying to get to her through Fargo.
Okay, I'm trying to think of. I can think of 2 of the actors in Fargo.
Yeah, it's William
H. Macy.
It's William H. Macy and Steve Buscemi. Okay. I'm going to go the same starting route, though.
Oh, we all know that.
I don't always. You know what? You know what? F you. But I'm not really thinking F you. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to do it without that.
I only say that because Farrell Blackwell in the chat was already, like, he already teed it up. So that's all.
Okay. D'Urville Martin is in D'Urville Martin is in Dolomite with Rudy Ray Moore. Rudy Ray Moore is in The Monkey Hustle with Robert Townsend. Robert Townsend is in Meteor Man with Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle is in Boogie Nights with William H. Macy, who's in Fargo with Frances McDormand. Kiss my ass.
Very good, Vincent. Very, very, very good.
And I say that most strenuously. And imagine what I would say if we weren't recording it. I ain't got to use Dick Anthony Williams.
Very good.
All right.
That's very good, Vince. I applaud you, my friend. You knocked it out the box. You knocked it out the box. All right. All right. Very good.
Now, hopefully we didn't glitch the whole episode because I mentioned Meteor Man.
Yeah, you know, that's Steve Heron says that was damn impressive. Damn impressive. Lighting on fire. Farrell Blackwell's giving you sparkles all over the place. Moving and Merlot says nice. It was very well done, Vincent. Very well done. That was very well done.
Camille also helping out. Frances McDormand was also in The Tragedy of Macbeth. I ain't even had to go that far.
Well, that was actually in the chat. People,
yeah, she's sitting right there. Yeah, well, there you go.
That's nice.
Yes,
that's nice. I think it's cute that your daughter is watching this.
Yes, I love.
That's
man.
pretty dope. Hey,
it's a family affair.
That's cool. That's cool. I have been podcasting and radio since 2007.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter has listened to me one time.
In Olivia's defense, she's actually a grown-up person with the job and a family and of her own and doing stuff.
The one time was when she came with me to the show.
Okay. Like I said, she got a grandson and she got a husband. And
she hasn't had a grandson and a husband since 2007.
I'm just saying, the young lady is busy.
Well, it's cool. I just think I love my daughter.
Breaking news.
I do. I said I had a no, I don't want to give it away. Well, I said I don't want to give it away. He ain't gonna know. I had a Batman Easter basket.
Nice.
Mailed out.
Very nice.
To my grandson.
Oh.
Yeah, he gets it next Monday. I can't wait. Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, well, you know.
So thoughtful.
Well, you know, I try.
Yeah.
I had help though, I have to be honest.
Hey man,
we
all get by with a
little K-bird whispered in my ear. All right. So that was good, Vincent. Very good.
All right.
Now, Wendy, hopefully you're still with us.
Hopefully
we've not lost Wendy.
Hopefully, maybe
Wendy.
Circle back, listen to the podcast. She can fast forward it.
Well, when you listen to the podcast, there actually is a timestamp.
I was about to say it's time
that does take you to
right.
where the review of the movie.
We all experience it differently.
That's true.
We all experience. The show mission is an experience.
It is,
which you can experience differently.
Okay.
Much like there are different ways to talk about Porgy and Bess.
Allow us to display one of them as we get into our review of Porgy and Bess. But first, it's time for trailer talk.
Right. A short trailer talk
on Wendy's behalf.
Yes. What we got? Would you want?
Farrell Blackwell says trailer talk is going to test Wendy's patience. Yes. So Wendy, what this is, the actual finished podcast that will be available tomorrow morning, first thing tomorrow morning. In this spot, there will be a trailer for the movie that we are reviewing. So all of that we're about to talk about right now gets totally cut out. We usually only talk for a couple of minutes. Sometimes it can linger on. I promise we're not going to ramble but so long, and then we're going to get right into our review. Thank you for sticking with us. All right. And hopefully our missionaries in the chat line are keeping you company and you're enjoying the festivities as we're checking it out. Blue Girl 718 says that Wendy will be fine. I sincerely hope so. Now, in regards to trailer talk, Vincent.
Yes, sir.
I took the habit of just really quickly looking up, and based on Collider in April of 2021, the best comedies of the 21st century so far.
Okay.
Now, I didn't even go into the website. But starting off, their top, looks like 7 here.
Okay. Due to 7, I'll tell you which ones Anchorman is better than.
Well, Anchorman is on here.
No, not Anchorman. Talladega Nights.
Okay. So Anchorman.
Okay. It's not better than Anchorman.
The Nice Guys.
It's better than The Nice Guys.
Shaun of the Dead.
It's not better than Shaun of the Dead.
No, it's not. I love Shaun of the Dead. Superbad.
It's better than Superbad.
Okay. Bridesmaids.
It's better than Bridesmaids. And Bridesmaids is good.
Really? Because Bridesmaids is
better.
Pretty
it's
darn
better
good
than Bridesmaids, and Bridesmaids is good.
Okay. Your movie, Step Brothers.
It's better than Step Brothers.
Okay.
And Step Brothers is a hoot.
Best in Show.
It's not better than
It's
Best
not
in
better
Show.
Than Best. That may be up there for
Best
me.
in Show,
because I like that more than
Best in
Anchorman.
Show, yeah.
Wow. Bubba Hotep.
It's better than Bubba Hotep.
Okay, I will give you that. Mean Girls.
It's not better than Mean Girls.
Okay.
How many of us said that it's better than that are better than it?
You said a good 6 or 7.
I've not said 6 or 7. It's only 6 on the list. I didn't say there are 6 or 7 better than that.
Well, that's true.
That's
true. All right. I'm just going through that list, and let me give you 3 more movies.
All right.
And these are movies that I find particularly very, very funny. So if you say they are better than these movies,
absolutely.
Team America: World Police.
It's better than that. It's better than Team America.
I really love that movie.
How many times have you watched it?
Team America?
Yeah, I think it's diminishing returns.
True, because I do fast forward to.
Yeah, once you get over the shocks and the puppets, so it's better than Team America.
Okay. I didn't really like this movie, but a lot of people did. Borat.
It's better than Borat.
Yeah, that's not hard to imagine. I didn't really like that movie. To me, that wasn't a movie. MacGruber.
It's better than MacGruber.
All right, and last one. You said Brian Space. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
It's better than Scott Pilgrim versus the World. This is a real janky list.
I'm looking at this list, and I actually don't think it's in like an order.
Yeah. What's the great black comedy that's come out in the past 20 years? What's the Friday or Boomerang?
The great black comedy that's come out.
Yeah, what's come out in the past? Certainly something's come out in the 21st century.
That's a good question. Well, okay. The great black comedies of the 21st century.
Has Kevin Hart made anything that you would call a great comedy?
Yeah, I'm about to say he's made a ton of movies, but any of them that I call great? No.
Like I'm trying to think of comedians.
Well, what's Girl Trip?
It's Girl Trip. It's not as good as Girl Trip.
Girl Trip. Because now I'm just trying to think of black comedies of the 21st century. Yeesh. There's a lot of Tyler Perry movies.
Yeah, it's better than those.
Yeah, I can't.
Isn't that interesting?
That is really it. Okay, real quick.
I know.
Bear.
Now we're distracted.
Just bear with me one more moment.
Like, who's a 21st century black comedians? It's like Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart.
Dolomite. Dolomite is my name.
Oh, I don't even count that as a comedy, though.
That was very much a comedy.
I mean, it's got
Wesley Snipes in that movie.
It's got funny parts, but I don't know if I'd call it a comedy like these other things.
No, okay, I beg to differ. I think that is a comedy. Yeah. I think they distinctly that would land in the comedy genre. So what? Coming to America.
It's better than Coming to America.
Well, that wasn't that great of a movie.
A little bit to say,
as we'll eventually review and find out. Little. Yeah,
it's better than Little.
No, a lot. Yeah, Little was not that good.
Okay, I don't want to talk about the black comedies because it's hurting my heart a little bit. I don't want to talk about this no more.
Well, I was going to say Issa Rae is definitely like in that vein of, but yeah. Wow. All right. Let's move on.
All right. The conclusion we've come to, though, is you should watch Talladega Nights.
When did Black Dynamite come out? I don't think that was 21st century, was it?
Oh, it's not better than Black Dynamite.
But did that come out in 2000?
It must have. Yeah, Black Dynamite may have just bumped it down to my 6.
Black Dynamite, the movie.
And I mean,
2009.
Yeah, it's not better than Black Dynamite.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. All right. Wow.
All right.
I could have sworn Black Dynamite came out in like late 90s. All right. Okay. Now, Wendy, you can unmute. We're about to review. Oh, yeah, this wasn't a comedy. I was going to say something. Sorry to bother you, but that wasn't a comedy. That definitely is not a comedy. All right. It's time for our review of Porgy and Bess. You ready, Vincent?
I am. Porgy and Bess, This legendary Gershwin opera set among the Black residents of a fishing village in 1912 South Carolina. Bess, a woman with a disreputable history, tries to break free from her brutish lover Crown after he becomes wanted for murder. The only person willing to overlook her past and offer her shelter is the crippled Porgy. Their relationship is threatened by the disapproval of the townspeople, the presence of her old drug supplier, Sportin' Life, and the threatened return of Crown. Directed by Otto Preminger, starring Sidney Poitier as Porgy, Dorothy Dandridge as Bess, Sammy Davis Jr. as Sportin' Life, featuring appearances by Brock Peters, Pearl Bailey, and Diane Carroll, and featuring the music of the Gershwin brothers. 1959's Porgy and Bess was the choice of Len Webb. Len, what do you have to say about Porgy and Bess?
Well, as we noted last week on the show, this is a film that is surprisingly like not available.
That's right.
Anywhere.
Absolutely.
And there is indeed a story behind why this film is not available. But to get into that story, to reveal that, you have to go through the origin story.
Yes.
Of this movie, which some might contend is every bit as interesting and perhaps a bit more fascinating and entertaining than the film itself.
It is quite the tale.
It is quite the tale. This movie, Porgy and Bess, as you noted, is based on the opera by Ira and George Gershwin from the early part of the 20th century, which was it in itself based on the original play Porgy and Bess from DuBose Hayward and his wife Dorothy, and they devised their play Porgy and Bess based off of the short novel Porgy, which, as you talked about, was about a disabled man who wants to rescue this woman of ill repute, as we'll say. Back in in Charleston, South Carolina. Ira and George Gershwin saw this play. They read the play and they thought that this would be great fodder for an opera, to actually build it up into more of a musical as opposed to just a standalone play. And they thought that Ira and George Gershwin, these two brothers, Jewish brothers,
yes, which is pertinent to this.
It's very pertinent.
The ethnicities of the players involved.
Right. These two Jewish brothers felt that they could build on this play that was written about African American culture in the deep south of Charleston, South Carolina. This play that was written to be performed by African American actors of training. Let's say,
right, because it's an opera.
Because it's an opera. Well, I'm just even talking about the play itself. Even before it's built up into an opera, it was written to be performed by African American performers, but written by DuBose Hayward and Dorothy Hayward, a married couple, a married white couple.
Right.
Don't let the name DuBose fool you. This was a white man and his white wife who developed this play because they felt that there was, a story there in the lives of black Southerners,
right? These poor rural
black folks. Oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
Post-slavery, they're still see how they toil, and someone needs to tell their story,
Right.
So this white couple writes a play. It gets out there, has mitigating success. Ira and George Gershwin read the play. They say, oh, this is great, but we think what it really needs is to play up the melodrama of it, as most operas do.
Right.
They build it up into this grand opera, with writing original music for it, which they then hired DuBose Hayward to write most of the lyrics, including to one of the biggest hits coming out of this opera, Summertime.
Mm-hmm.
He writes the lyrics, the Gershwins write the music. And they built it up into this grand opera, which in the early days of Hollywood, as is always the case, Hollywood always looking for an opportunity to turn something that's big on stage into something that can be blown up into the movie screens. It catches their eye. And specifically, it catches the eye of one Samuel Goldwyn, who is one of the biggest movie makers of the time. It catches his eye, and he's like, "Oh my God, yes, I love it. Let's do something. Let's do something with this." We're talking about, at this time, we are in the early part of the 1940s, and it is time to make this into a film, and I've got the cast for this film. He hires Harry Cohn to come on as director, and they're ready to cast in this film Porgy and Bess, Fred Astaire, Al Jolson, and Rita Hayworth.
Yes.
Get them all in there. Put them in blackface.
Yeah.
Blackface, ladies and gentlemen, and let them wild out in this film. They are ready to do that, but the Gershwins say no.
Right.
The Gershwins say no. We're not going to have that.
And to be fair, it's been 20 years.
It had been 20 years.
Like,
at
there's
that point.
this whole, it hadn't been financially successful.
The
People
opera
said that they saw potential in it, but it really was a struggle to get to this point.
It struggled to get to this point, and they thought that, and mind you, at this time, Fred Astaire, Rita Hayworth, they are names at this time. So that's why they're trying to get them in there. They see it as a grand musical, even though it's going to be more of an opera. Fred Astaire, not known for his singing, more for his dancing, but they just trying to get a name in there. But the Gershwins, who strongly, and it's actually a theme throughout most of their career, maintained a level of control on how all of their properties are optioned out and what is done with it.
Put a pin in that, folks.
Adaptation.
This will be important.
Right. They say, no, that's not going to happen. This has to have Black performers.
Right.
So, which now the call goes out. Now we're in late 40s, early 50s. And the call goes out to who is going to star in this film. And as the years go on, name after name is put in front to be a part of this film. But here, the other rub of Porgy and Bess comes to light. The thing that these white protagonists in our little drama have yet to realize. Porgy and Bess, the story of Porgy and Bess, is a bit problematic. Now, to be fair, when this whole project, the play and the opera, is created in the 20s and into the 40s, when it's staged and everything like that, this tale about the poor lives of these Black people, these Black rural Blacks, is still every bit as problematic. But at that time, all of the performers who are trained actors, trained singers, who are just looking for an opportunity, they're ready to do this because it's the only game in town.
Right. People need a job.
It's the only game in town, and it's the only game that is, at least it's all of us on the stage.
Right.
If we're not behind the scenes, this stage is covered from one end to the other. Stage right, stage left with us. And despite not being that great of a success, what little draw there is for the play is substantial enough that there are moments when during its subsequent runs in between this time when the audience does for a moment become segregated because people at least want to be a part of this experience.
Mm-hmm.
So in that context, the story of Porgy and Bess is a win-win. But fast forward to the late 40s and the late 50s, African American performers are slowly developing more agency with their careers. A little bit while the opportunities are still slim, there are certainly enough opportunities out there that can be a little bit more selective about the things that they are going out for.
Certainly the big players,
especially the bigger players, such as in this day and time, your Harry Belafontes, who they are begging to be in this production. And Harry Belafonte, and say what you want about the man before the camera, behind the camera, you cannot knock that man's integrity. And he was just like, nah, not doing it. He's not for it, because the story of Porgy and Bess, the story of Porgy, this disabled, man coming to the rescue of this woman of, I don't think they nail it on the head what Bess is about, but she's about, that life. Let's put it that way.
Drugs, sex, violence.
Right. Coming to the rescue of her, rescuing her from, the big bad crown, and the big, who seems like a big, thug, criminal, what have you.
He's actually a brute.
A brute.
He's actually a brute.
Rescuing her from the sway of Sport and Life, who seems to be like the local drug dealer in the town. Outside of those three, and those are your three leads in this whole melodrama that is being played out. Everybody else is just a very bit part, living this very poor, disheveled rural existence.
Simple, stereotyped life.
Right. And stereotyped down away to the dialect and the way that they speak and the lives that they live. It's just about shooting craps. It's just about getting over or whatever, as it seems to be portrayed in a lot of Porgy and Bess. And there are a lot of performers of the day in the late 40s and 50s who are wary of putting that image out there.
Right.
They understood that you had to do what you had to do in the 30s and the 40s, but at this moment it was a brand new day, and they wanted to see that they're figuring that if their day hadn't come, they could see the sun coming over their horizon, and they didn't want to go back into the shadows.
Right.
So they were not feeling Porgy and Bess. It is only through some canoodling that they are able to lock in Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
To do this movie. And even then, Sidney Poitier is very reluctant. Yes, he has a close friendship with Harry Belafonte, so he's very reluctant for many of the same reasons as Belafonte to do this film. But he also is up for another role in The Defiant Ones, a film that we have reviewed here on a magnificent film with Tony Curtis that we've reviewed here on The Mission. and he is leery of messing up that situation. So in a story as old as time, it's for any actor, but especially when you get of a certain clout, on one of them, okay, I'll do one for you so that you could do one for me. He does Porgy and Bess so that he doesn't mess up.
Right. Like so many aspects of the Porgy and Bess story. There are these conflicting accounts of what happened.
That's true.
But something happened with Sidney Poitier and his agent and Samuel Goldwyn, who was the producer, where Sidney Poitier was being threatened with being sued for breach of contract or some, again, it's very unclear. But as you said, Sidney Poitier didn't want to mess up his chances with the Defiant Ones.
Exactly.
But the important thing is he was reluctant,
right,
to be in Porgy and Bess.
Speaking of threatening, the only performer who was begging to be a part of Porgy and Bess was one Sammy Davis Jr.
Yes.
Sammy Davis Jr., who at this time in the 40s and 50s he's definitely still a big star, but he's going through a little bit of an identity situation, a little bit of identity crisis as far as, where was his audience? Right. What did a Sammy Davis Jr. fan look like? Right. And more, the story was coming back that the Sammy Davis Jr. fan looked like a Frank Sinatra fan and not like a Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier fan.
So he really wanted to be involved. Hey, Len, how much did he want to be involved? What did he do to be involved in Porgy and Bess?
Allegedly, what Sammy Davis.
I think there were witnesses.
Well,
I think this actually happened.
I don't know, but allegedly, Sammy Davis Jr., who was not the first, second, or third choice to play Sporting Life in this film. First choice was Cab Calloway. Who would have been perfect.
After what happened.
Sammy Davis Jr. reportedly, I believe this is where you're getting at, contacted his friend.
Oh, you skipped over the part where he auditioned at Judy Garland's party.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, yes, he did audition at Judy Garland's party. There was a party. Judy Garland was having a party where Samuel Goldwyn,
Samuel Goldwyn was and I think one of the
was Cone, one of the other producers,
but it was one of the widows who was there.
Oh, it was
a Gershwin widow.
It was the widow of Ira Gershwin. Ira Gershwin passed away,
and Sammy Davis Jr. basically put on a show.
Yes,
at Judy Garland's party.
Right, basically
for the part
as an audition for Sporting Life.
Mrs. Gershwin was so horrified and insulted by what she saw as the vulgarity.
Yes,
she made Samuel Goldwyn swear not to cast Sammy Davis Jr.
Right.
Samuel Goldwyn, and again, this is quoted in several sources, so I don't feel bad saying this, said, "You don't have to worry about me putting quote unquote that monkey in the movie."
That's true.
But as we all know, he does end up playing Sporting Life and now you can get to the allegedly.
Because allegedly Sammy Davis Jr. went over Samuel Goldwyn's head to his friend Frank Sinatra, who talked to some of his friends who weren't in show business, but they were in business of showing you what you was not going to do. And what you was not going to do, Mr. Goldwyn, was not have Mr. Sammy Davis Jr. in your Porgy and Bess.
Folks, this Porgy and Bess is the craziest story. This is just there are literally a dozen stories connected to Porgy and Bess. Like, how much you want to talk about the backdrop of Porgy and Bess?
I want to talk about
before
it.
you get into the actual film.
I know
because we haven't even gotten to the actual film.
The cameras aren't on yet.
Like, we ain't talked about the directors.
Well, that's
getting replaced. We ain't talked about the arson.
Yes. No, we didn't.
We ain't talked about Sidney Poitier stepping to Otto Preminger.
I know.
We ain't talking about any of it.
I know.
You want to talk about the movie a little bit?
Wait a minute. Well, I do want to talk about the movie, but you got to set it up a little bit.
We could sit here for 3 hours.
I know.
Talking.
You got to set it up.
The setup.
Because we talked about Sidney Poitier.
Yes.
We talked about Sammy Davis Jr.
Yes.
We haven't talked about Dorothy Dandridge.
Oh, we've not talked about Dorothy
Because
Dandridge.
Dorothy Dandridge, a big star in this movie.
Yes.
At this time, she is also in this movie. But she is in this movie at a very, very capricious moment in her career. She is just not long coming off of Carmen Jones.
Right. 4 years previous.
About 3-4 years previous, which she starred in with Harry Belafonte.
Yes.
Which was also directed,
I was about to say, more importantly,
by Otto Preminger. It is the film in which Dorothy Dandridge met the director Otto Preminger. And it was from that film that began an affair between the two of them. That, fast forward to Porgy and Bess, had ended
badly.
Very badly.
It was a very acrimonious breakup.
Very acrimonious breakup by the time that Porgy and Bess is
again. I think this is a matter of record. Dorothy Dandridge got pregnant. Otto Preminger was married. Dorothy Dandridge got pregnant. The studio pressured her into having an abortion.
That's very true. Yes.
And then she realized Otto Preminger was never going to lose his wife. And then they broke up.
And she's cast in Porgy and Bess, which, as Vincent alluded to, went through many directors' hands before they were able to. They landed on Otto Preminger. At one time, Samuel Goldwyn was trying to get Elia Kazan, Frank Capra, and even King Vidor to direct this movie. He finally settled on Ruben Mamoulian, who actually directed the original Broadway productions of Porgy and Bess. So, okay, that looks pretty good. You know, he's got some familiarity with the work, but he doesn't stick.
Right.
And they are forced to land on Otto Preminger. Now he doesn't stick because Mamoulian clashed with Goldwyn, because as Vincent also alluded to, they had some very big clashes about the scripts, and about, you know, how they wanted to produce the film. Mamoulian wanted to kind of like open it up and film the movie on location,
right?
You know, but Samuel Goldwyn, a little bit on the cheap here, said no, let's do this on sound stages. You know, Mamoulian, smartly, it was a play. He's trying to, you know, open it up, make it live, make it breathe. Goldwyn is just about turn the cameras on the play. Let's get this moving. So he just gives them sound stages. They go back and forth about things, about the script, about you know, changing over some of the wording, pulling out some of the more operatic moments of the film. Excuse me, of the script. So Mamoulian leaves, and Goldwyn, already going through his master list of directors, has to settle on Otto Preminger, which is, of course, not a good look for Dorothy Dandridge.
Right.
But she's already in the movie.
She's already in the movie.
She's already there. She's got to do a job. She has to be a professional, and she tries to be as professional as possible. But the word from the sets is that Otto Preminger is
abusive,
very verbally abusive to her on the set of this film. And, you know, once you know that backstory, I have to say, just as a little lean into the film a little bit, it's hard not to see a little bit of it in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
she's very tenuous.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't see any of the assurance of the, now, mind you, the 4 years in between work between Carmen Jones and this were not a picnic for Dorothy Dandridge.
Sure.
Personally, but she definitely is on pins and needles throughout this film. Now, Otto Preminger signs on. Otto Preminger, despite his relationship with Dorothy Dandridge, is a director of note. He did do Carmen Jones,
Anatomy of a Murder,
but he also did Anatomy of a Murder, which is a sensational movie.
Lord.
So this is a man who knows, how to film, direct, how to work his camera and things like that. But he's also, Otto Preminger is old school, so he knows where the bodies are buried in Hollywood, and specifically he knows of the reputation of Samuel Goldwyn. Samuel Goldwyn has a huge reputation of, after a movie is filmed, of going into the editing room with the editor and making a Samuel Goldwyn cut of a movie, and that's what's going to be released. Otto Preminger is not having any of that, and in order to lessen Goldwyn getting his grubby fingers on this film as much as possible, Samuel Goldwyn devises the tactic that Otto Preminger devises the tactic that I'm going to film this movie in nothing but very, very long cuts. There are long takes, long scenes that go on, and in many of these scenes, Otto Preminger more or less just pops the camera in one spot and it does not move, which, from an editing standpoint, it doesn't give you anything to cut away from. There's not a lot of coverage. There's not a lot of close-ups in this movie. It's a lot of 3/4 shots and cameras being pulled back. And it nullifies any effect that Samuel Goldwyn can have going into the editing room with this film. But that also takes away from Samuel Goldwyn and any editor's bag of tricks of what they can use in telling the story.
Right.
In showing the drama that is on screen, that is happening here. And that, unless there's anything else you want to get into, takes us directly into the film.
Right.
Porgy and Bess.
Right. I mean, I got little tidbits, but I'll wait till you actually talk about the movie.
I know. So,
because this is catnip. Like, this is very much, we could just sit and talk about everything happening around the movie.
Yeah.
So we should probably get the movie in here a little bit.
Right. So this movie itself, I mean, the story is basic. Sidney Poitier is Porgy. He's disabled, and to show his disabledness, he walks. He's crippled. Both of his legs, they don't work. So he basically walks on his knees. And Dorothy Dandridge is Bess, a woman of ill repute, as we mentioned, who is, rolls around with the brute crown, played by Brock Peters, who is a huge man.
Yeah.
I think I've only seen like Brock Peters, like really maybe like late 60s and on.
Yeah.
So this is young Brock Peters.
I mean, this is Brock Peters from Carmen Jones.
The Brock,
like, he plays the same character.
This is Rock Peters.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then you have Sammy Davis Jr. looking like trying to be like a little bit of a Cheshire Cat type of character in this film. The movie is a bit of a mess. I talked about the direction, which I could think is a mess. I think it is woefully miscast in not so much Dorothy Dandridge, even though she's walking on eggshells, but I could see wanting Dorothy Dandridge in this movie. But Sidney Poitier, Sidney Poitier does not know what he's doing in this movie.
He seems like somebody who's in the movie because he's got to keep things cool so he can be in the movie he really wants to be in.
Yeah, because when he's called upon to act, which is not often, because it's not often, and we'll talk about why, he's really not doing anything but just saying lines. I think because of the way that Preminger is filming this movie, with these long takes, there's not a lot of retakes. There's not a lot of take twos, take threes.
Right.
So you're basically getting the first line readings here. And I think that is to the detriment of the performance that Sidney Poitier can give out. Then also Sidney Poitier is, not a singer, right?
No.
He's not a singer at all. And which means that unfortunately, Sidney Poitier in this movie, where he is called upon to sing,
yes,
has his voice dubbed, dubbed more famously by Robert McFerrin.
Don't get distracted.
The father of Bobby McFerrin.
Bobby McFerrin's father is the singing voice of Sidney Poitier in this movie.
Yes. And I don't know he was happy about it, because he's not. Robert McFerrin is a fantastic voice.
Yes.
Who sounds nothing like Sidney Poitier. And I understand.
How you gonna get that's the detail you want to get stuck on?
Well, that's okay.
that's what you want to get stuck on.
Well,
this treasure trove of chaos that is Porgy and Bess. You want to talk about that?
I'm not stuck on it. I'm just mentioning it.
Okay.
Because look, people get dubbed all the time.
Yeah.
Famously, Audrey Hepburn is dubbed in My Fair Lady. So voices get dubbed all the time.
And Julie Andrews gets dubbed, and she can actually sing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it happens all the time. And a lot of times when the voices are dubbed, it doesn't sound anything like the person. Right. It sounds like, that's somebody else. Right. So it happens. But usually then the person who is being dubbed can at least mouth the words to the song. Right. Sidney Poitier, somebody told him, well, they're going to dub you right here. So Sidney Poitier basically took those takes off.
Look,
and I think his mouth is open.
I got the script to the Defiant One sitting in my dressing room. I'm trying not to actually put my hands on Otto Preminger.
That's true.
Like, that's where all my energy is going.
Right. If you're Sidney Poitier.
Because I'm about to beat his ass.
That's very
like
true.
For real.
Right. Because of what he's doing to Dorothy.
Right.
Yeah. So
Sidney Poitier got a lot going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he maybe wants to get his hands on Otto Preminger, or maybe he wants to get his hands on Diane Carroll. We don't know.
Well,
we don't know.
He could go ahead and get his hands on Diane Carroll. I think he really was thinking, what are the repercussions if I beat his ass?
That's true.
Which I 100% want to do.
Well, and perhaps as the voice was being dubbed, that's what he was mouthing, because he was not mouthing the words to the song.
Yes.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm going to get stuck on.
Yeah.
He's not mouthing the words to the song. Dorothy Dandridge is, I think, to be fair, as much as this movie is Porgy and Bess, and she does have a bit to do in this movie, I think her timidness really, really shows. And there's no real, you don't feel Bess. I don't think you really ever feel that character develop on screen.
Right. And to her defense, I think that's also a lot of the way the character was written. So that when you talk about revivals of the opera, like even the revival they just had in New York a few years ago.
Yeah, right.
They added backstory to Bess.
Right.
Because they said her character was so slight.
That is very true. That is true. because you have to remember this was originally Porgy.
Right.
And I actually did see that revival.
Yeah.
In New York a few years ago with Audra McDonald and Norm Lewis. And it was fantastic. So they're just kind of phoning things in. And then there's the man who wanted to be in the film.
Yes.
Sammy Davis Jr., who I think, to be fair, is trying to give it his all.
Oh, no doubt.
He's just not given a lot to do. And when he is given his moments, stuff to do, especially his big number, Ain't Necessarily So, that is where I think the filmography, the cinematography,
there it is,
really fails him because it doesn't show him off at all. And I also think, to be fair, that the choreography of that scene leaves a lot to be desired as well. It's not that crisp. It's not anything super imaginative. Like to me, all you really need to do is just get out of Sammy Davis Jr.'s way. But if you're going to have a bunch of people around him, then let's make this a number,
right?
And it just really comes off very sloppy. And I don't know how much of that is them just not developing this the way that it deserves to be developed, or is this another way of them trying to depict what they think Black people of that time are like, and that they are sloppy and they wouldn't know tight choreography. And I think even that read is, as I'm saying it, is giving them a little bit too much credit. And I think it's just sloppy. And I think that's a shame, because this definitely was an opportunity for Sammy Davis to really sink his teeth into this character. This is a character that can steal the show if done right. I know, even though to be fair, it isn't a production that was just rewritten. In that production that I mentioned, David Alan Grier played Sport and Life.
Oh, okay.
And David Alan Grier almost steals the show from Audra McDonald and Norm Lewis. And if anyone's ever seen any of those two performers, nobody steals the stage from those two, but David Alan Grier almost does that. But that's how strong, if done right, that character of Sport and Life is. And Sammy Davis in this movie, from his bowler hat to his suit, the cane, and everything, and even just the way that he's kind of like dancing, always dancing, even when he's walking across the stage, he's trying to evoke this character, this almost, like I mentioned, like Cheshire Cat character, but the direction just doesn't do him any favors.
Yeah, I think we are completely in sync. I actually think Sammy Davis Jr. is the best part of the movie.
He's absolutely the best part of the movie.
Much like you, he's such a kinetic performer that you need to match that kineticism with the direction.
Right.
And as you said, there's this other stuff going on with Otto Preminger fighting with Samuel Goldwyn that he's not actually directing.
Right.
Or rather, he's not 100% focused on direction, because, as you said, he's trying to keep Goldwyn from chopping it up the way he wants to, and that's to the detriment to the film. And in a lot of ways, just to sort of add to what you've said, this is a perfect metaphor of this film. Like, this film never had a chance to be a film because of all the chaos that was around the film before they picked up a camera.
I know.
Like, everything that you've said. We haven't mentioned Pearl Bailey getting into a beef with the costumers because she says she's not going to wear a rag on her head.
But she doesn't.
We haven't gotten to talking about the costumes. We haven't gotten to the 6-month delay because of the mysterious fire where everything burned up but it's sort of accepted lore that some black arsonists did it out of
protest.
We haven't talked about the heated, I won't say shouting match, but debate that Otto Preminger got into on television with Lorraine Hansberry.
Oh, you know
over
what?
This.
You know what? You mentioned that, and I saw that note, but look, I didn't look at. I know there's a clip of it.
Like you said, this was a film that was plagued with debate and everything. Like, it really was the wrong story at the wrong time. Like you said, like, we are in the midst of. That doesn't sound. We're not the midst. It's the dawning of the civil rights movement.
Yes, at this moment, yes.
And modern black people, I've been joking all afternoon. These brothers in these suits, and I got a part in my hair, and Lorraine Hansberry and got her short little haircut. No one has any patience for these good time country Negroes on Catfish Row, shooting dice and doing all this stuff. I said this is like catnip. I always say, so we've talked about this before, like a lot of film nerds. I went through that period where I was reading all these biographies of all these people. Porgy and Bess is the center spoke that goes to everybody. Harry Belafonte's biography, Sidney Poitier's biography, Diane Carroll's biography.
Even though she's like blinking.
No, but she was there.
Yeah.
My point is, like, everyone was there. Diane, did I say Diane Carroll?
Yeah.
Diane Carroll. Nichelle Nichols' biography. Maya Angelou. Everyone talks about the making of Porgy and Bess and how chaotic it was. And I've said it, but it's really worth mentioning. Everyone talks about the confrontation between Sidney Poitier and Otto Preminger that happened on the set, where Poitier apparently was going damn near shut down the production and stepped to Otto Preminger and said, "You will not speak to Dorothy Dandridge in this fashion."
Right.
It's a mess. It's a mess. And I'll say I like Sammy Davis Jr. more than you did. But I'm 100% with you that the filmmaking lets him down. I think we talk about it ain't necessarily so. There's a boat leaving soon for New York. I think is fantastic. Like, he's actually the devil.
Yeah.
And I love that. And if there's any pop in this film, it's him trying to make the pop. But like you said, this is a film, and I think it's a film where the story around it is so much more fascinating than the film itself, even to the point. So let's just go ahead and finish the history of the film. The film has a short run. It closes very quickly. This is the end of Samuel Goldwyn's career.
Yeah.
This ends his career as a producer. The Gershwins shut down any showings of the film. So, which is why in 2022, you have to see it in these frankly illegal channels.
Right. And to be fair, the Gershwins shut down the film because they too were unhappy with the finished product.
And depending on who you believe, this is apocryphal. The Gershwin estate denies that this happened. But there are a fair number of reports that say that the Gershwins wanted the prints destroyed.
Yes.
So there's some debate about whether or not a pristine print exists.
You're right, because the apocryphal story is that after a certain time, after the full rights reverted back to the Gershwins, because the film couldn't be re-released, it couldn't do anything with it without the Gershwins signing on to it.
Right.
But then after a certain amount of time, all of the rights reverted to the Gershwins, and it is said at that time that the estate bought all the copies of the film and then burnt them, and that's why there's
which is something that they have denied.
Something that they denied,
but once again, there's no pristine print of Porgy and Bess to this day that you have access to.
None.
And I think in a lot of ways that has helped
with the myth of it,
the myth of Porgy and Bess, because for a lot of people, and I'm including myself in this, all I knew about Porgy and Bess for years was the music.
Yeah, because the music,
Miles Davis has an album. I think about Nina Simone's version of "I Love You, Porgy." Here you go.
The casting, the album from this actually has who is it? Louis Armstrong, and Ella Fitzgerald,
right? But you know who the cast album doesn't have? Sammy Davis Jr. Because he was contracted to another record label, so he couldn't be on the cast recordings for the movie that he had the best songs.
Right, because on the cast album, that's when I think Cab Calloway, who they wanted, he is on the cast.
So then Sammy Davis Jr. and Carmen McRae released an album of Porgy and Bess songs,
where Sammy Davis sings all of
where he sings all the songs.
Right.
It's a crazy story.
Yes. Like the only thing that would make it crazier is if Sammy Davis sings Porgy and Bess was the B-side of Sammy Davis sings all your TV favorite theme songs.
It's actually a really good album. I've been listening to it all day.
The Sammy Davis
Jr. and Carmen McRae do Porgy and Bess.
I believe that.
Because there's a boat leaving soon for New York is like him basically pushing Bess into prostitution and drugs.
I know.
It's terrible.
It is terrible. It's also really, really striking. And another reason why I guess I can understand why, well, not guess. I understand the heated furor over this film by the African American audience in its depiction of blacks in this film. I thought it was interesting that even at this time in film in Hollywood and on television, where you famously couldn't show a married couple in bed together. You had to have separate beds. If they were kissing on a bed, one or on a couch, one leg had to be on the floor. But in this film, while it's not said outright, you kind of know what type of life Bess is living. There is not subtle at all depictions of drug use.
Happy dust.
The happy dust. And I say not subtle at all for this time. I mean, they basically turn their back and then come back and they're all
all hopped up.
And stuff, which is stuff that you weren't seeing in other Hollywood fare. So I could see the furor, like, because they just didn't care,
Right. Well, I think it's this flashpoint where the civil rights movement is almost weaponizing dignity. We call it respectability politics and all now, but it really was this, again, weaponizing, where when we protest, we're going to wear our Sunday best, and we're going to be pristine in our speech and the way we conduct ourselves. And Porgy and Bess seems like a throwback to the stereotypes that we're trying to fight. And as we mentioned at the very beginning, it doesn't help that this was the creation of some white people and some Jewish people. Like, you can't even, like, this isn't even a case of with Oscar Michel, where he received the same type of critique. At least he's black.
Yeah.
Like at least Oscar and Michelle can say, well, I'm black and I'm around black people and this is what I hear.
Yeah.
So there, like that tension is there. And then it also doesn't help that Otto Preminger is the face of it.
That's true.
Because again, what I've been fascinated for like 20 years about Porgy and Bess, everybody in Black Hollywood knew about Otto Preminger and Dorothy Dandridge and what had happened. And everybody knew. So when Lorraine Hansberry comes to him with the heat, it's some heat. And this is all part of this package.
I know
that you get, which again, it's fascinating to me that for those of us who weren't around in the 50s, all we know about Porgy and Bess is the music.
Yeah,
because I think even the opera didn't start having revivals until fairly recently.
Well, yeah, fairly recently. It was put on a few times. It was most famously put revived in the 70s. And if I remember correctly, because it was around 76, if I remember correctly, that's when I first saw Porgy and Bess, when I was a kid. And my mom, was very big on taking us to New York every year to see like a couple of plays. And that's when we saw Porgy and Bess. I don't really remember it so much. I know my mom bought the album and would play that in the house. But I just remember, it's like, it was singing, it was cool. But it was definitely an audience, and that kind of that opera at that time was slightly rewritten for a more contemporary audience,
right? And
so it actually was very well received. And then again, like you mentioned, in I think it was like about 2011, 2012, it's put back up. That is even more recontextualized by Susie Laurie Parks. And even though Stephen Sondheim didn't like what they did with it, everybody else loved it. Right. And that was a huge success on Broadway.
Yeah. Well, I think if it's going to survive,
it has to.
You're going to have some black voices
behind
to the voices.
Speak to it. Right. Because to be fair, even though, we spoke about the white originators of this project, what is Porgy and Bess, to be fair to the Gershwins, I like a lot of the music.
The music is sublime.
Yeah. And even though I think it I think it is, not 100% soulful, but it still is very evocative.
Well, I think it depends on who's singing it.
Well, and there you go.
Right.
There
like
you go.
Nina Simone singing "I Love You, Porgy" is heart wrenching.
Yeah.
But it's Nina Simone.
It's Nina Simone. It's not the opera.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right. And I have to say, I think part of the reason that for me, Sammy Davis Jr. is the real standout.
Because he's not.
Because he's right.
That's true.
Right. It ain't necessarily so. And there's a boat leaving soon for New York. He sings it like a Sammy Davis Jr. maybe show tune, arguably show tune, but it's jazz.
But there's certainly a lot more of a rhythm to it, right? As opposed to
"Bess, you is my woman now."
Right.
God bless Mr. McFerrin, but
yeah,
I actually almost threw my computer down when I got to that. It said the singing voice was Robert McFerrin, the father of Bob. I was like, really? This thing is just bananas.
I wish I was like you and watched it on the computer, because we were able to get a copy of it, an MP4 of it. But no, Len, I had to put it on my flash drive and then plugged it into my TV and watch it on the big screen.
What was the print?
It's the same print.
It's the same print. I wonder if that's just the same print that everyone has.
It probably is. Right. Because while it's far from a pristine print.
Yeah.
it's good enough
right
to appreciate it.
And apparently they you can go watch it at the Library of Congress.
Yeah, see, now I would be interested in whether or not that print
would print that
is the same print.
Yeah, which
I'm not going to find out.
Right. Well, I guess that
But
we come to the eternal question. Lynn, would you recommend Porgy and Bess?
No.
Okay.
And I think it's a shame.
Okay.
I think it really is a shame, because I want there to be a filmed Porgy and Bess. Now, to be fair, I want it to be Audra McDonald and Lewis.
Are they talking about doing that? I feel like I've heard murmurings of them.
I think there was murmurings around the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're already talking 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I could certainly see them doing something akin to what they did with Hamilton.
Right.
And making that work.
Last tidbit, because Audra McDonald is actually in it, so she got to sing it, which they wouldn't do. One of the people that they asked to voice,
Leontine Price.
Leontine Price, and Leontine Price said, "No body, no voice."
That's right.
So if you're not going to let me play Bess, you don't get to have my voice. I'm telling you, this thing. You talking about 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin? Like, you could really do 6 Degrees of 1959's Porgy and Bess.
That's true.
Like 15 years ago, when I was reading Nichelle Nichols' biography, and then she has a whole section on Porgy and Bess.
Yeah, because she makes her debut in this film.
Right, she's one of the dancers.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn, was just everybody in Porgy and Bess?
Pretty much. This was the job.
I disagree with you.
Okay.
I think you have to watch Porgy and Bess. Like, you just have. Like, I'll go so far as to say, if you are listening in the DMV and you're close to the Library of Congress, I think it's worth the drive to the Library of Congress. Look, make a day of it. Go to Ben's Chili Bowl, get some chili fries.
I've never been to Ben's.
Go to the museums, go to the Library of Congress and watch it. I really do think it is one of those.
It's a 2-hour movie, man.
It is a 2-hour movie. It's a 2-hour movie, and it's very much a 2-hour movie.
I don't know, Vince.
Which it's a 2-hour movie that you're trying to figure out why is it 2 hours.
I know, because you feel the end,
yet there's another. It's the whole subplot with the hurricane, and Diane Carroll runs out into the hurricane barefoot and abandons her baby.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because she's never seen a kid.
The one woman is telling people don't go to the hospital because everybody I pray over gets better. And then she has a song about Dr. Jesus. But yeah, I think you kind of have to watch it.
You're not selling it.
I mean, look, man, it's Porgy and Bess. Frankly, you're not going to. It's funny. I guess you have more of an opportunity to watch it now than you have historically, because I think it might be on YouTube.
Yeah,
like I think I saw a couple of YouTube. So if you get a chance, watch it. But every single solitary thing around this film, I heartily recommend.
Oh,
like I said, all of these 50s Black performers that speak about it. I mentioned Nina Simone. Miles Davis's Porgy and Bess is one of my favorite albums ever. That Sammy Davis, Carmen McRae album I just mentioned, that I just found today, is fantastic. But yeah,
the periphery of Porgy and Bess.
I basically want the multimedia Porgy and Bess experience.
Yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want.
But you have to have it in this. It's sort of like Thanksgiving, where you know how you get the turkey,
but you really want.
But you're really focused on the macaroni and cheese and everything else. This is sort of the turkey.
This is the turkey. Well, you're
in the middle of the plate.
Truer words have never been said. This is the turkey.
This is the turkey in the middle of your Thanksgiving plate, even though you're focused on the sides.
It is the star of the story that nobody's paying attention to.
Right. And then you gotta do it right so you're not too full to have some sweet potato pie. And but yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. See, that's your recommendation, and almost got me going there.
Yeah.
But the only reason I won't co-sign with you is because I do think, like you said, the oral history, which unfortunately probably will never have now,
Right.
of the making of this film is phenomenal, must read.
Yeah.
Any album related to Porgy and Bess, almost gotta listen to.
I mean, they're jazz standards.
But the taking in of it, and I'm not a big musical person,
Mm-hmm.
but I do have to say the performance that I watched was an opera.
Right.
You know, and this is Americanized opera.
Sure.
For sure. And I really enjoyed it. And I actually feel like that is the way to experience Porgy and
So
Bess.
actually see the opera.
To actually see a production
Okay.
of Porgy and Bess.
Okay.
All right.
Whew. That was a hurricane like the hurricane in Porgy and Bess.
Which is where their budget went. But that was fun, actually. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we're going to tell you what is coming up next week as we are moving further along. Wow, this was episode 296, Vincent.
Pearl Bailey said, I ain't wearing no rag on my head. You're not going to have me looking like Aunt Jemima.
And she didn't look like Aunt Jemima.
No, she look, man.
And she did as much as Aunt Jemima in this movie because she did
hear her
nothing.
saying that, but young Pearl Bailey was...
She didn't do anything.
But she cuts quite a figure. I don't know why she thought she was going to look like Aunt Jemima.
No, that's very true. She's very true. We invite you to check us out. The Michaud Mission, 2 Men, 1 podcast, every Black film ever made. Go to michaudmission.com where you can hit swag and check out all the cool designs and gifts that we have available for your buying pleasure by way of our good friends at TeePublic, including our 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin collection, which I ask you, if you've gotten a D'Urville Martin swag, please send us your pictures so we can share that on our social media, just like Miss Eldridge did. We really appreciate that. And so does our social media director. She loves that. You can also email us at michaudmission@gmail.com, and also feel free to leave us a voicemail.
Yes.
Call 215-867-9666 and tell Vincent and Len what's on your mind. That phone number is on our Facebook page, Sabria, and it will soon be on our Instagram and Twitter pages as well. Like and follow the Michaud Mission on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Michaud Mission. Subscribe on YouTube and Twitch to at Michaud Mission. And if you really want to help us, the best way that you can help us is tell anyone you can about our little show so that they can listen any way they can. And feel free to give us 5 stars and a rating and a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Remember, the Michaud Mission is a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work. Next week on the Michaud Mission is episode 297. As I mentioned, it is Vincent's selection. And we thought we'd loosen things up and have a little fun here on the mission as we round into the end.
Yes.
And we go to the year of 1984.
Mm-hmm. I forgot what I picked.
You did?
I've completely forgot what I picked.
Well, let me remind you.
Please do.
As we head out west.
Okay.
For Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, damn, I really was. I'm not taking my foot off y'all's neck.
No, you're not. No, you are not, Vincent. Beverly Hills Cop.
Very nice.
With Eddie Murphy.
Boy, I'm glad I picked that. I haven't watched Beverly Hills Cop in a few years.
It's been a while since I've watched this movie as well.
I'm looking forward to that.
I am definitely looking forward to this movie. This should be a lot of fun. Eddie Murphy at the height of his, dare I say, at the height of his powers in this movie. Oh, I didn't really think that'd stump you.
I think he's better in Trading Places, I think. But I guess we'll talk about it next week.
You think he's better in Trading Places? Oh. We'll talk about it.
But I say that because I like Eddie Murphy, the comedian. I think Beverly Hills Cop, he's Eddie Murphy, the star.
Yes. Yes.
Like he's very much Eddie Murphy, the headliner, the star.
Well, I think this may be his first movie with his name above the title.
Well, and also this is the first movie that he's playing a role that wasn't written for a comedian.
That's true, because it was written for him.
Right. This was Sylvester. Boy, it's a shame we won't have an opportunity to talk about all this.
You know what is going in.
I know.
I thought I gave you a layup.
I know. Pearl Bailey said.
Okay. All right. We got to get out of here.
Don't put no rag on my head. Have me out here looking like Aunt Jemima.
I hope you were entertained, Wendy, and I hope you join us next week. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting, we